He trusted America with his dreams, but the real betrayal came from the one man he called his brother. He had always believed that loyalty was the one thing that couldn't be bought or broken, especially not in a country he had come to admire so deeply. When Aarav first arrived in the United States, everything felt like a dream. The endless highways stretching into possibility, the glittering skylines that seemed to whisper success, and the unspoken promise that if you worked hard enough, you could become anything. Coming from a modest background, he carried not just his luggage, but the hopes of his family, their sacrifices silently fueling his determination. Every late-night shift, every rejection email, every struggle, it all felt worth it because he believed he was building something meaningful. That's when he met Daniel. It almost felt like fate. Daniel had this effortless confidence, the kind that made people trust him instantly. He knew the system, understood the culture, and most importantly, he saw potential in Aarav when others didn't. What started as casual conversations over coffee quickly turned into brainstorming sessions, and before they knew it, they were building a tech startup together. Aarav handled the technical side, pouring his heart into every line of code, while Daniel managed investors, clients, and the business front. It was a perfect balance, or at least that's what Aarav believed. Months turned into years. Their startup began gaining attention. Small investors turned into big ones. Their idea turned into a real company, and their struggles slowly transformed into success. They celebrated milestones together, shared meals, laughed over failures, and dreamed even bigger dreams. Aarav trusted Daniel not just as a partner, but as family. There were no doubts, no suspicions, just blind faith. But success changes people, sometimes quietly, sometimes completely. Aarav started noticing small things. Daniel taking calls in private, avoiding certain conversations, rushing decisions that once required mutual agreement. At first, Aarav ignored it. He told himself this was just part of growth, part of becoming something bigger. After all, he trusted Daniel. Then came the morning that changed everything. Aarav walked into the office like any other day, expecting to continue building the future they had dreamed of. But something felt off. The receptionist avoided eye contact. His access card didn't work. Confused, he tried again, but the system denied him entry. Within minutes, he was surrounded by unfamiliar faces, lawyers. That's when he heard the words that shattered everything. He was no longer a part of the company. Daniel had done it all quietly. Legal documents had been signed, shares had been diluted, ownership had been transferred. Every step had been carefully planned, every move legally protected. Aarav stood there in disbelief, trying to process how the person he trusted the most had orchestrated his downfall so perfectly. When he finally saw Daniel, there was no guilt in his eyes, only cold professionalism. The warmth, the brotherhood, the years of trust, they were gone. "I did what I had to do," Daniel said calmly, as if it were just business. But for Aarav, it was never just business. It was betrayal. Not just a partnership, but of trust, of friendship, of everything he believed in. Aarav wasn't just losing a company, he was losing a part of himself. The dream he had built from nothing was taken away in a way he never imagined possible. Days turned into weeks, and Aarav found himself wandering through the busy streets of New York, feeling more alone than ever. The same city that once felt full of opportunity now felt cold and indifferent. People rushed past him, chasing their own dreams, unaware of the silent storm inside him. He questioned everything, his choices, his trust, his belief in people. But somewhere in that darkness, something shifted. Betrayal has a strange way of either breaking you or rebuilding you. Aarav realized that while Daniel had taken his company, he hadn't taken his skills, his resilience, or his ability to start again. The pain didn't disappear, but it transformed into something else: determination. Slowly, Aarav began to rebuild. This time, he was more careful, more aware. He learned the legal side of business, protected his ideas, and most importantly, he learned that trust should be earned, not given blindly. The journey wasn't easy. There were moments when the past haunted him, when doubt crept in, when he questioned if he could ever trust anyone again. But he kept going. Years later, Aarav stood once again at the top, stronger, wiser, and more guarded. His new venture succeeded not just because of his talent, but because of the lessons carved into him by betrayal. And while Daniel became just a chapter in his story, the impact of that betrayal stayed with him, not as a wound, but as a reminder. Standing in the same city that once broke him, Aarav finally understood something important. The American dream isn't just about success, it's about survival, resilience, and the strength to rise again, even when everything you believed in falls apart.